Okay, so happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to our inaugural Career Portfolio Workshop. So great to see some familiar names here on Zoom. And if you haven't connected with me before, I am Justin. I am the Career Manager with the School of Management. So appreciate everyone today, especially attending on a busy schedule. So give you some fantastic tips when it comes to the very important topic of the career portfolio. And if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, I am going to reference LinkedIn a little bit today. Make sure you connect with me and get that LinkedIn going because I will reference this a little bit today as well. A couple of housekeeping notes before I move to the main event to dissect the portfolio. So those of you who have met with me and or attended my workshops, you know I'm huge on follow-up. So I have everybody's attendance covered today. I will email you the follow-up materials. So that's going to include the workshop recording, in addition to the helpful documents and websites that I'm going to talk about today. And this will all be yours in the follow-up email. And you also have a Canvas page too. So if you're a business major, I got you covered. Not only are you going to have access to many different career development topics on that important Canvas page for that career development requirement, but I now have the career portfolio workshop details here as a second guide if you need it. So take advantage. I will follow up with all of you later today. And you'll have the meeting recording, but if you did want to take notes today as well, feel free. One of the great amenities of being able to join on Zoom is that you'll have free reign. So if you do have pen and paper ready, do take notes because that career portfolio is so essential to helping you, not just with things like interviews, but scholarships as well as graduate school admission as well. So feel free, take as many notes as you can. Last but least, I always say, if you're a business major, I got you covered. I will be sure to go into Canvas and document your 5 points for attending today. If you are a business major, an undergrad student, I got you covered. And, take advantage of today. The main goal isn't as much to kind of get the 411 on the portfolio. The main goal is for you to apply the information. So I'll talk about the impact the career portfolios had on me, but apply everything you hear today about the portfolio. Even if it's like a month or two down the line, let me know if I could ever help you with taking a look at the finished product. So I am around not just for the information-based session today, but if you do incorporate the portfolio, the visual portfolio, as well as the tangible career portfolio, I'm happy to have a glance at it to make it even stronger. And I'll chat more about that later. You will have my portfolio. So I will reference the visual portfolio on LinkedIn here in a second, but I do have a tangible career portfolio. So I brought that over when I transitioned over here to umflint. If you do need a snapshot of what the tangible portfolio looks like, send me an email. You can drop by School of Management. Again, email me first. I'm not a big fan of pop-ins. But email me first. You can take a look at the finished product if you are more of a visual learner. And a couple of last final housekeeping items. So you can meet with me. You get 5 career development points for any sort of meeting with me. If you see anything in here in the Canvas page, you can go to that 4-year career plan just to kind of help you embark on some quality related career activities for the year that you're in. But I do meetings. So, if there's ever a spot where I can help you with some supplemental activities, whether it's LinkedIn, networking, interviewing, resume, the career development process is completely cyclical. So all of this goes hand in hand. Employment cannot be accrued simply from the career portfolio. So again, I'm happy to conduct meetings. And if you're unavailable for meetings, no problem. Workshops like this, take advantage of these workshops. You can go into my scorecard. So hopefully all of you at some point have taken liberty to take a look at my scorecard. This will be in my follow-up email, but this is your way to track all of the workshops I have going on. These workshops are very compact. They're about an hour long, and they're very advantageous if you find that you prefer, maybe a group environment like this, and maybe you're a little bit more driven in terms of a group environment, and you're able to compact a lot of information as well. Lastly, shameless plug for the career fair coming up. So if you have not RSVP'd for the career fair, make sure you do that. We have 2 of them coming up. We have the School of Management event on the 21st, and then we have the campus-wide career fair on the 5th. I will talk about how you can actually use the portfolio to your advantage if you're able to secure some interviews, and how you can use the portfolio prior to interviews as well. So let's get into it. What we will chat about today, first and foremost, what is the career portfolio? So that's kind of a burning question. The career portfolio is an amalgamation of everything that you have accomplished, ideally when it comes to your time at U of M Flint. So anything you've accomplished, I'll talk a little bit more about what to include in the portfolio section-wise and all of that as well. But career portfolio is your ability to visualize all of the great accomplishments you have accrued in your time at U of M Flint. And I'll talk about the when and wheres in terms of how you can present that to employers. What are the benefits of having the career portfolio? So, for example, for me, in the past, when I heard about what the career portfolio was, I latched onto it. I owe so much of my consideration for employment offers, consideration for getting job interviews, as well as past scholarships and graduate school admission to my career portfolio. And I'll chat more about that in a second. So it's going to help you not just for the employment search, but graduate school admission, in addition to scholarships as well. Who should create a career portfolio? Every student out there. It's not just like art and design students that want to put a visual on their designs. Any student, whether you're entrepreneurship, supply chain, even if you're a biology major, for example, the career portfolio is going to help you a ton. And I'll chat more about that in a second. The types of portfolio, so you have 2 of them. You have the visual, and you also have the tangible career portfolio. So the visual portfolio, I will unlock here in a second. That's going to help you prior to the interview. So you can use LinkedIn as your own portfolio that I will reference here in a second. And LinkedIn is really, really great because you can have your LinkedIn URL attached in your resume, your cover letter, and your thank you letter. And employers can actually take a look at your LinkedIn before interviews start. And I'll chat more about that in a second. And then the tangible portfolio is really nice. That is the one you can bring to interviews. So as we've moved a little bit more away from the coronavirus, companies are having more in-person interviews. So you do want to have both types of portfolios. That visual portfolio, the online portfolio, is not something you can bring to the interview. So you do want to have that tangible portfolio. I'll talk more about that in a second. But you can maximize your time for both. So what's nice is as you're getting a list of accomplishments together, you can kind of disperse. So you can kind of get one of them online. And then you can take that liberty to kind of get the other one going within the tangible portfolio. So I'll chat about that in a second, but you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The career portfolio can absolutely help all of you when it comes to consideration before interviews. I've not only been an applicant in the past where I can see the employers looking at my visual aids on LinkedIn, but I've been on hiring committees before, and I always will look at the LinkedIn of that applicant. And if they do have like a visual portfolio, maybe like a Folio Tech, a Wix, a Weebly, which I'll chat about in a second, if that link is attached in their resume or their cover letter, I will absolutely take a look at that. So it definitely can help your consideration before the interview. And I'll chat about that in a second. Where can you share the portfolio with an employer? So if you go to the interview, and let's say it's in person, after the interview, like when they say, do you have any questions for us? I will use one of my interview questions. And by the way, you want to ask at least 3 questions during your interview to the employer. One of those questions that I will always ask is, can I take a few moments to share my portfolio? So that is a perfect opportunity to maximize on your time. And at the end of the interview, showcase all those key accomplishments. And you can talk a little bit more in detail about some of those visuals that you have within your portfolio. It's tough to have that wherewithal to always have the critical thinking to share the portfolio during the interview itself. If you're giving detailed examples, we're all so focused and zoned in. Some people get nervous on the interview, so it's difficult to bring the portfolio up as you're answering the questions. So it's always a safe bet if you have that tangible career portfolio to share it at the end of the interview. And that way you have that time allotted for that employer to see the great accomplishments. When can you share the portfolio with an employer? So as far as the virtual side of things, include your LinkedIn URL in your resume and cover letter. And you can also include it in your thank you letter. If you don't have a LinkedIn squared away, attend a LinkedIn workshop, work with me on LinkedIn. I'll share my screen in a second to show you how you can get the portfolio going on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the most advantageous visual portfolio. You do have some different websites that you can use, but because LinkedIn is such a versatile website, that is the #1 resource for the visual portfolio. So I'll talk about that in a second. What do employers think of the portfolio? So many times I do quarterly feedback with employers, and I try to get new data, not just logging in like which companies have hired our own students. But before I created this workshop, and by the way, this workshop was created just because of the employer feedback. So they say all the time, especially with marketing majors, people don't bring the portfolio, #1. #2, it can help their consideration. But #3, the resume can be discriminatory in the sense that it just limits you to what's in writing. So what's great about the portfolio is it allows you to, the adage of a picture being worth 1,000 words is 100% true. So LinkedIn in the portfolio, it acts as a supplementary application tool for these employers to look at what's not in the resume and one of the handicaps of the resume. So employers love the portfolio, and it's a great incentive piece before and after the interview. What should I include in my portfolio? We'll chat about that more in a second. So I'll talk about different sections that you can use for the portfolio. Should you create the portfolio if you don't have a lot to add to it? Absolutely. Again, you want to focus, even if, like, let's say you're a sophomore, you're going to have a ton of different options you can add to that portfolio in and outside of U of M Flint. So don't feel like your portfolio has to be massively stacked. Even if you have some very important accolades to add to that portfolio, it's only going to grow over time. So definitely still create one, even if you're a sophomore or a junior, for example. Do employers prefer the portfolio for an internship and or full position? Even internships, if you bring that portfolio to that employer, it's still going to help a ton. So many employers, they're not used to these employment seekers bringing the portfolio. So think about it this way. You have 118 applicants on average that apply to the average position. So you have to do everything in your power to separate yourself from the other applicants. So part of that is how you get the resume tailored to that position. Part of that is how you use your network to your advantage. But the other part of it is that career portfolio. So they're going to see somebody who's prepared, who's making a good effort, that has more integrity with what's on the resume. And they see somebody who's very decorated, albeit still being pretty young, which is perfectly fine. Is there anything you shouldn't include with the portfolio? So you do want to make the portfolio business oriented. In addition to making sure you're accruing these accolades at U of M Flint, ideally, you want to make sure it's all something that's going to be advantageous to the employer. So there's an age-old question you can use when you're getting your portfolio set, and that is this something the employer would want to see? If the answer is yes, absolutely add it in there. But if it's something that's maybe from your personal lives, it's not relevant to the employment world, you might want to refrain from adding it. But I'll chat about some other resources that you can really maximize on in a second. What are some ways you can create your portfolio after the workshop? So I will follow up with everybody. And if you don't have your LinkedIn created, not a problem. You can sample my LinkedIn to get your portfolio going. And I'm also going to send you photos. So if you're not able to come to campus and look at my portfolio, the tangible, not a problem. My follow-up will have different photos of it as well. Do I have an example of a student that's presented the portfolio and has had success? I do. So one recent example, I do have a graduate student that worked with me on the portfolio. He got his LinkedIn portfolio updated, and he actually moved his credentials as well to the tangible career portfolio. So this was an accounting graduate student, and he emailed me one day. He said, Justin, not only did I get the position, but the employer was very elated with both portfolios, the LinkedIn portfolio and the tangible. So definitely some great success stories, and take advantage of putting it into practice today. So I will now move to the elements of the portfolio. So this will answer the question of what's included. So here we go. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to email you this document, and this will also be in the PowerPoint if you're more, prefer the PowerPoint outlet. You are looking at how to structure your tangible career portfolio. So this will not only give you the sections that you can use to get that portfolio up and running, but I have examples of what you can do to get yours up and running. So this can be in order. So as you're getting that portfolio set, you can just go to your local Staples, local place, just to kind of get the bare bones portfolio itself. And what you can do then, as you're getting yours up and running, this is how you can get it categorized. So the very first thing you can have within that portfolio is a cover page. So what you can do just for safekeeping, sometimes with certain employers, you need to provide a more detailed illustration. Once in a great while, like if you find that maybe, the interview time or just the critical thinking was not there and you weren't able to show your portfolio during the interview, it is okay only in that circumstance to check with the employer if you want to leave your portfolio and then pick it up at a different time. If you do that, though, you're going to have to provide more heavy illustration. And I'm a big fan of that cover page. So not only does that allow you to tailor your portfolio to what you're applying to, which is absolutely huge. Again, you want to make sure to have quality-based credentials within your portfolio as aligned to the interview as possible. But it provides that illustration to the employer. And if they see it pinpointed to what you're applying to, simply just having a cover page in that portfolio to start it off is a good idea. So this is how you can kind of get that structured as well. The second section within your portfolio, I am a massive fan of the table of content section. So not only does that help the employer stay organized, it helps you stay organized. The portfolio is probably new to all of you. So as you have your table of contents and you're saying, well, hey, page 1, cover page, 2, table of contents, etc., this is a way for you to better understand your portfolio. So the portfolio itself, you're going to get more acclimated over time. But the table of contents is a way for you to better compartmentalize while also allowing you to get more familiarized with the document. So this is what you can add for the second section, is that table of contents. And you can decorate however you want. This is some ideas here just to kind of help you stay. And I have color-coded tabs in mine too. So whatever is best for you, if you find that, hey, you're a visual learner, you like to make it nice and pretty, feel free to take advantage of that as well. The first content related section within the portfolio you want to have that resume cover letter. Now, ideally, and some people on this call, it might as well be etched on my name badge. I say all the time, you want to make sure your resume and cover letter is tailored to what you are applying to. If you have that wherewithal and time to include that in your portfolio, have your resume and cover letter tailored to what you're applying to. And again, attend the resume workshop, work with me. I'll talk about how to do that. If you find that, you know what, hey, I'm in a little bit of a hurry, you can still have like the general resume and the cover letter. Have that in your third section. There are times where you're going to have committee members of the interview who maybe weren't in the first round of interviews or maybe didn't participate in the phone interview. You need to lay it out for them. You need to put things out there for the employer and put them into layman's terms because they're not always going to know. So that's the first content related section of the tangible portfolio. My favorite section, and Mr. Riggs on the call today, his as well. And this is an evolution. So with the work sample section, not only is this the most important one, I might say it's 1A, 1B when it comes to your academic samples. But the work samples is absolutely massive. So here are some ideas, ladies and gentlemen, of what you can add to your portfolio with the work sample section. So what you can do, take a little bit of time. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. Don't feel like, hey, right now I can only think of two things. I think of work samples that I can add to my portfolio all the time. Like I literally Saturdays, I'm out there, at the gym, I'm out there going for a jog. It comes to me at the weirdest times. Part of that is because I might have some ADHD or something. But brainstorm, make a list of some of the accolades you've accrued on the job. Work samples is a fantastic section where you can showcase all of those great accolades you've accomplished on the job. So you have things even like a name badge, and it shows more integrity. Collect some letters of recommendation from your employers. If you've received a promotion, photo, even social media posts along the way. So the list goes on and on. And again, as long as it's in a professional setting, you can add that to your portfolio, tangible, and I'll show you the visual portfolio here in a second. So again, work samples is my favorite one. And this is anything you've accomplished on the job. This could definitely be internships, absolutely. This could even be volunteer work, any sort of experiential learning. Again, outside of the class learning. So again, volunteer work, internships, full-time employment, part-time employment would go in this section right over here. My 1B section, so this is also very important for all of you. I'm getting up there in age. I don't have too many of these anymore. But for you, this is absolutely important, would be the academic samples. So this is something all of you, I can almost guarantee, will have a couple of things you can add right now. And this is only going to get stronger for all of you. So academic samples would be anything you have accrued, ideally in your time at U of M-Flint. When it comes to things like high school diploma, those sorts of credentials, they fall out of favor, usually by the time you reach that college level. Now, if you have things accrued, say at a community college, it's not going to carry as much weight as opposed to U of M-Flint, but you can still add it in there. But the university level credentials are going to be what you want to add in. So here are some ideas of what you can add in the academic sample section. So, if you've had some projects you got good grades on, add that in there. If you have some recommendations from faculty or myself, I'm happy to write one for you, and you can add that in there. Social media posts, different, projects you've worked on along the way, even different recordings that you've had within your classes. Again, as long as it's relevant to what you're interviewing for, you can add that within the academic samples. And if it's a recording, I'll talk about how you can add that to the visual portfolio as well too. So the next section, further along in that profile, would be the testimonials. So Testimonials, this is any sort of encouraging word from a key constituent. So this could be staff at U of M-Flint like myself. This could be faculty. If you finish the class with a professor and they can speak well of you. This could be past them, this could be even things like employers, alumni, even individuals that maybe you did volunteer work with. These are things such as letters of recommendation, even a kind email. You could take a screenshot of an encouraging email. Again, it's about critical thinking. You're coming up with new ways to showcase your accolades. So I have things like I've had to utilize critical thinking with my testimonials. I have an email from my old supervisor and very, very encouraging words. I had the wherewithal just to grab the text of the email without disclosing too much information. I put it into a Word document, a PDF, and I have that in both portfolios. So again, it's all about that critical thinking. The testimonials would be kind words that individuals that you've either worked with, went to school with, or volunteered with, that have said nice things about you along the way. And again, if you don't have a ton of those, reach out to me. I'm happy to put in a good word for you that way as well. And build this up, by the way, too, because you're going to find that not only testimonials, but all of these other sections, they're going to get stronger and stronger when you work on this stuff as time moves on. The next section would be the references section. So this right here isn't quite as important as the big three. I call these the big three of the portfolio. References is still important though. Roughly about half of companies now do reference checks, and you still want to have a few references indicated within your portfolio. So you have three types of references. You have cold, you have moderate, you have warm. So a cold reference, this would be like a friend or a relative. Not only with the portfolio, but in general, you do not want to use a cold reference when it comes to the employment pursuit. A moderate reference, this would be like myself or a professor. We're fine. We can definitely, I think, hold some credence when it comes to your employment search if you use us. The only struggle of using somebody like myself or maybe like a professor or an academic advisor, we cannot speak directly to your work experience. We haven't actually seen you perform in an internship or a position. But, we can still speak to many of the key qualities you have. Just know that that's a moderate level reference. Now, what you want, though, is what's called the warm reference. So in general, but also your portfolio. So that warm reference is ideally somebody that you have worked with in the past. This could be a colleague, this could be a supervisor, even somebody that you volunteered with, anybody that can speak to your experiential learning. This would be a warm reference, and you can add them to that references section within your portfolio. And I close the tangible portfolio with something that's optional, but I think it's a very organized way to end your career portfolio. And that is what's called a summation page. So especially I've had times where I've left the portfolio with the employer just because there wasn't enough time for me to share it, at the end of the interview. So I have a summation page. It's a nice little courteous way, especially if you leave the portfolio with them to look at and you arrange a time to pick it up later. Really nice way just to be courteous and, respectful with the fact that they took some time out of their day to look at that portfolio. And that's something along the lines of, well, thank you for viewing the portfolio of Justin Skibin, career development professional for the, career development manager position with U of M-Flint. So that is how you can get that tangible career portfolio up and running. And I'm going to get to part two, which is the online portfolio. But again, this is how you can structure your tangible career portfolio. And again, the recording will be yours. This notes page will be yours. And you can look at my portfolio if you did want to email me and arrange a time to take a look at it really quickly as well. And questions I'll ask, I'll see if there are any later at the end of this workshop today. So I'm going to get to part two, which would be the LinkedIn portfolio, which I love so much. So this will answer the question, well, how can I get the attention of the employer prior to the interview? The only struggle with the tangible portfolio is it's built for the interview itself. But the questions become, well, how can I incentivize that employer to contact me for the interview for the portfolio? What are some mechanisms I can use? And that is where the virtual portfolio will come in handy. So let me show you. So again, you have multiple outlets to help you when it comes to your visual portfolio, but LinkedIn is the best one, and it's the most advantageous one. So before I get to this, just want to do a quick refresher. You can come back to the recording. You can go to the Canvas module for portfolio midway down the page, and you can view my profile for a way to get your visual portfolio up and running. And LinkedIn is free, by the way. So none of this has any fee. And again, when you have that URL in your resume, your cover letter, and then your thank you letter after the interview, this is a nice incentive piece for them to view your LinkedIn profile. 7 out of 10 hiring managers will look at your LinkedIn either before interviews start and or after they end. So employers will not just look at your LinkedIn prior to the interview. Many of them will use it after interviews. So if it's between you and somebody else, they can use your LinkedIn visual aids to potentially make a decision. I've been on hiring committees before. This is a deciding factor, not just to contact somebody for an interview, but potentially in an employment decision if it's between you and somebody else. So I will show you the visual portfolio section. And by the way, again, if you're a novice LinkedIn user, you'll have this recording, you'll have my URL, and you're going to have the LinkedIn module down here, which I link with portfolio. So again, LinkedIn is a marathon and not a sprint. The more you can chip away at this, 10 to 15 minutes a week, the better off you're going to be for months and years to come. So I'm going to show you the visual portfolio. So the first section that you can showcase your visual portfolio is going to be the experience section. So you can use this, guys, as kind of like a barometer. Like the work sample section of your visual portfolio is the same as education. So you can use my portfolio as a sample. So here are some things I have in mind. So I have a couple of recommendations. This is from an old manager of mine here at U of M Flint. I have another recommendation. This is from one of our great students here. I have different accolades I've accrued, and I'm going to have to take my photo out of there. It looks like I appeared somehow. I'll have to retake that. But I also have some more awards I've accomplished here. Different credentials I've earned at U of M Flint, certifications and things. So again, hopefully the ideas are spinning for you. You can take a look at what you've accomplished on the job, and as this is some visuals for you. Some more credentials I've accrued. And then I also have a workshop I created. So those are some ideas just in terms of what you can add to your experience section. And I want to show you some more ideas just to be thorough. So my last position I had here, I was there for a while, and here's some visuals I have here. Some more accolades here. I have a workshop I created. I have a different credential I've accrued here. Another one that I obtained here. You got to get that new certificate here though. So I'm even working on updating this stuff here myself. Another one here. More credentials that I've obtained here. And a workshop I created here. So the ideas are going on and on. I got more testimonials here. I have letters of recommendation here. Workshop I created here. And more job seeker resources that I created here. So again, getting some ideas going for your work experience. So many things that you can add, not just to your virtual portfolio, but the tangible one. use my profile as a sample, and you're also going to have the specifics under that particular section that you can add within both portfolios. So that's the experience section for your visual portfolio. I'm going to show you the education section. So what's really cool about the tangible portfolio is the LinkedIn portfolio, the visual. Two or three sections can sum up pretty much all of these sections. So the tangible career portfolio is going to be a little bit more layered, but the LinkedIn portfolio is going to be a little bit more efficient as far as less sections. So things like testimonials, there wouldn't be a testimonial section specifically for your visual portfolio, but it can be embedded within experience and or education. So within the education section, you all will have some awesome ideas here. So this will give you some ideas right over here. So I have things like my degrees in here. When I get a second, I want to get this updated here, to some different projects I worked on. Some of this I have within my experience. So I did like different internships at Saginaw Valley, and I could possibly, just to spread the wealth, just put this in education. So if you do find that maybe you did an internship, say with a higher education entity or something, and it might relate to education, if you find that you're a little heavy within one section here, you can always go to the other section and add it in if there's some overlap. But with education, things like dean's lists, academic projects, letters of recommendation, different testimonials that you can add in here. Take advantage, because employers will look at that specifically. And like I was saying with graduate schools and scholarships, these are also things they look at. Like I had a company that was adjudicating the scholarships, and they actually called me. So I filled out a reference form. They called me. And while I was on the phone, I kind of got some feedback from them and kind of viewed, got some tips on what they looked at. And they mentioned part of it is going to be your portfolio. So scrolling down a little bit more, you can actually go in and get some different endorsements kind of based on your recommendations. So it's going to help you a lot. If you have somebody that has a letter of recommendation, not only can you add it to the applicable section, but you can also have them write a recommendation on LinkedIn. So what's really nice is when you go to your LinkedIn profile, you can hit that nice Ask for Rec button. That is going to have a 1 that pops up in that person's messaging box when they log into LinkedIn. And I'm sure all of you are going to have, and I'm happy to do this for you, you're going to have more than enough people that are happy to write a nice recommendation for you. And again, not only can that person write a testimonial on LinkedIn, but you can kill two birds with one stone and have them write a letter of recommendation, which you can add to the visual portfolio as well as the tangible career portfolio as well. So that would be the visual portfolio. Again, work on both. As you're writing down some things you can add to your portfolio, kill two birds with one stone. Once you get copies of, say, whatever the accolade is, you can upload it directly to your LinkedIn. So this is where you can go in and upload it. You can hit that edit button, and that will allow you to upload it directly. But as you're uploading it, print it off. So that'll help you maximize your time. The portfolio is not by any stretch time consuming. If you spend the time, so the job search is what you put into it, much like your education. So for example, if you have these accolades, as you're uploading it on LinkedIn, print it off for the tangible portfolio. That way you won't have to, have the wherewithal to do it at a different time, which is really helpful. So that is the visual portfolio to go along with the tangible career portfolio. And again, work on both. Both are equally important as well. I'm going to send you all this in the follow-up. So this is a way, I know LinkedIn, today we're just kind of talking about the portfolio section of LinkedIn, but I'm going to send all of you this document here, this is some general tips to help you with your profile on LinkedIn. So if you do want to do the whole gamut of your LinkedIn profile, I will send this in the follow-up. And again, I can work with you on getting that LinkedIn. I only bring this up because it's a package deal. The portfolio is just one part of your profile, but if you want to maximize on the entire LinkedIn, it goes hand in hand. So this will be sent to you to kind of help you with the full scale of your LinkedIn profile, not just the attachments and visuals overall as well. So this will all be yours. And here's a couple of extra tips. So before I do a closing of the portfolio workshop today, this is some extra ideas for you. So sample my LinkedIn. Again, you'll have my tangible portfolio available if you want to email me to take a look at it. Make sure you show your tangible portfolio at the end of the interview. Again, critical thinking wise, it's tough to always have that wherewithal to do it during. LinkedIn tips, you'll have that document that I will send you in the follow-up. And again, look at the recording from today's session and my LinkedIn profile for any sort of clarity. Plus, you'll have the module right over here. In addition to that, like I was saying too, if you find that, shoot, you weren't able to showcase that portfolio during the interview, not a problem. Simply ask that employer if they're okay to take a look at the portfolio on their own time. Just arrange a time to pick it up though, if you're not able to share it during the interview. Here are some other resources just to kind of help you with other online portfolios. So Wix, Weebly, Folio Tech, I do want to caution you, I think 2 of these have a fee attached. One of them is earmarked strictly for higher education entities, but you can look into it a little bit more if you do want a little bit more of a focused portfolio. The only struggle, and I don't even know if I want to call this a struggle with LinkedIn, is it's so layered that when an employer goes to your profile, there's so much information. So they do have to scroll to the second half of your profile to view the visuals. So if you did want maybe a more focused online portfolio, these are 3 websites you can check out on your own time. Again, some of them do have a fee, but it's a little bit more focused of an online portfolio overall here. And reach out to me. I am if you finish that LinkedIn profile, shoot me an email. If you want me to look at that visual portfolio when you finish up, let me know. If you want me to look at the tangible portfolio, in the upcoming days and weeks, that you hopefully apply this information, let me know. Again, email me first, and I'm happy to take a look at it. So take advantage. Moral of the story, when it comes to the portfolio, I've benefited so much from creating mine. Employers, they view you in higher light. Scholarship evaluators, graduate school evaluators, they evaluate the portfolio so strongly. So bottom line is, take advantage of the virtual portfolio, take advantage of the tangible career portfolio, and consider it a marathon and not a sprint. So even if you're so busy with things, which we all are, carve out, 10 to 15 minutes on the weekend. Maybe have like a schedule set. So come up with like a monthly schedule, map out your schedule just to kind of figure out when you're going to have time to work on these things. And especially if you're not on the employment search right now, don't feel like you have to do everything right now. Carve out a little bit of time, like let's say next weekend, maybe spending 10 to 15 minutes on the experience section of the visual portfolio. Or, maybe you could say 3 weeks from now, maybe I'm at least going to go to Staples and get like the outline of my portfolio, or maybe some color-coded tabs to kind of get going on it too. So again, map it out and just take advantage of these resources today. And just to recap, I'll follow up with all of you. So I will send you the recording. I will get you this notes page here. This can help you with the structure. That recording will also have the visuals attached to the portfolio as well. And I will also give you the LinkedIn notes So this can help you with the full gamut of your LinkedIn profile just to get this maximized as well. So moral of the story, take advantage. The final 10 minutes of today's session, I just want to pause just to see if there are any questions. So take a few moments. You could either convey a question verbally or in the chat. And I just want to see if there are any questions today. All right. Well, yeah, if there are any questions, you know how to reach me. Expect a follow-up email. Absolutely. So, yep, if you do have any questions, reach out to me. I'll follow up with everybody. I'm hoping by 4 o'clock today. Take advantage. And again, if you do want to embark on any sort of additional resources, it's in the Canvas page. Everything connects, whether it's LinkedIn, resume, interviewing, and come to the career fairs. You know, it's a perfect opportunity to put everything into practice as well. So thanks everybody. This was our inaugural career portfolio workshop, and I appreciate everybody joining in. So thanks a ton, everyone.
Is up. This kick will decide it.